passed. We like to get started on time so we can get you back to your busy day. So welcome to 1 Million Cups El Paso. Thank you for coming out. We like to introduce our organizers first. We have Eric Bischoff. Sir, I always struggle with his last name. I don't know why. I've known him. Serena Harper, Michelle Blakely, and Esther Lopez. Floating around in the back somewhere is Nancy Lowry, and I'm Ernesto Gamboa, and again, welcome. We like to start off with a short introductory video of the Hub of Human Innovation, which is our venue sponsor where we are today.
Started with my business is ready to launch. Here's the start this road.
Okay, next I'd like to bring up Omar Chavez with Digital Bull and Borderland TV.
Hello everyone, my name is Omar Chavez. I'm with Borderland.tv. We are the company that's responsible for the broadcasting of this event. If you look back there, we have our little table set up and we're actually live broadcasting this event right now on Facebook. So I'd like to invite all of you to go ahead and go into your Facebook pages and go into the Hub of Human Innovation page and share this live broadcast to your friends and family so that way we can help this thing grow. And we are also currently looking for sponsors. So if you may know of anyone who might be interested in becoming a sponsor for the broadcast of 1 Million Cups, we are looking into that right now. It's a lot of exposure. You get hundreds of views, and it's a very good opportunity to get your business out there. I'm with Borderland.tv. That is a website, Borderland.tv, and you could also find us in our Facebook pages and also in the 1 Million Cups Facebook page. Thank you.
Thank you, Omar. A couple of announcements before we go on. This microphone is actually for that live streaming broadcast, so if you don't hear it amplified, that's why. Also, parking. If you parked in either one of the parking lots that are adjacent to Durango Street, you will be towed, so please move it. If you parked in the front of the building, if you are on the half closest to Durango, you only have an hour and you need to be backed in, or the city of El Paso will come and leave you a nice greeting card. So please double check your parking. Now, who's here for the first time? Show of hands, please. Great, wonderful, welcome. So what is 1 Million Cups all about? We have a short video.
1 Million Cups is a weekly educational program developed by the Kauffman Foundation.
Over the years, we've added more cities. It creates a great energy here to see what's happening across the country.
What I've learned from other entrepreneurs is very, very valuable.
Sitting in a room with other people that have ideas too, it helps people to leave thinking, you know what, my idea is worth something. It's worth pursuing. It's worth going after it. Even if it looks like a challenge, I should still go out and try to do it.
So that's 1 Million Cups. It's an entrepreneurial showcase focusing on networking and education. Every week, we bring in 2 entrepreneurs to tell us their story, their trials, their tribulations, their challenges, their successes. And then the real value add is where you all as the audience get to give them feedback, get to ask them questions. That helps them refine their business model, really think about some of the issues, the things that they're doing. So that's the value add. So please don't be afraid. Get in the weeds with them. Ask them the tough questions. 1 Million Cups is really a cool opportunity, by the way. I just came back a couple weeks ago from Kansas City, and one young lady said, 1 Million Cups is the second most badass thing I get to do with my life other than with being with my family. And I agree with that. So, again, welcome everybody. Shout out to our sponsors, the delicious coffee by Krispy Kreme. We may be running out of that, or rather that sponsorship may be ending. So if anybody knows of any coffee folks that would love to become our next coffee sponsor, please let us know. Venue sponsor, already mentioned the Hub of Human Innovation, and of course our media sponsor, Borderland TV, and Digital Bull. Please do download the mobile app and check in. There's a way on the mobile app where you can provide feedback to the presenters even after the fact, so feel free to use that. And join our community at 1millioncups.org/El Paso. And with that, I'll bring up our first presenter, the International Museum of Art.
Thanks, sir. Oh, yeah. Thank you. To the right? Yes, sir. To the left? To the right? To the right. Okay. My name is Bob Peterson. I'm not International Museum of Art. Thank you, Ernesto. But my presentation today is about the International Museum of Art. They tell me, first of all, I apologize. I'm a stickler for this, the space between the M and the O. I was telling someone earlier that I noticed that last night. Geez, I hate that. I've proofread books and done, editing and so on. It drives me crazy. But again, I'm Bob Peterson. I am a volunteer, president of the board of the International Museum of Art. I'm here to talk to you about a resurgence of that institution that we're trying to put together. I've been there about 3 years, and so I want to talk to you about that. My background is is varied: sales and marketing, starting with AT&T for a number of years, and then I had a consulting firm for a number of years. Most recently, I retired as CEO of a credit union here in El Paso, and now I'm helping out here with mentoring a couple of companies at the hub and working with other small businesses here and at UTEP and so on. So let's talk about the International Museum of Art. Yes. Who here has been to the International Museum of Art? Good. And? Good? Yes? No? Good? The thing that we keep running into here is, that's not it. The thing we run into is that I keep hearing, oh, International Museum of Art. Oh, is that still there? Gee, I don't remember. I was there as a kid. I remember that. Gee, they're still doing. Yeah, and we're still doing that. So I want to show you some pictures because it's really important. But there are several things I want to talk about. The first is the history of the museum. Okay. Oh. I'm going to back up then. This is the museum. This is at 1211 Montana. It's an old mansion. Frankly, it was the Turney mansion. Mr. Turney was a prominent business person, a legislator, rancher, cattle rancher, representative for El Paso. He moved to El Paso from other places in West Texas, and he built his mansion starting in 1908. They moved in 1910. In 1940, the mansion was ceded to the city by his widow, Iva Turney. So the city has owned that mansion, that building, since 1940. It was the city's museum starting in 1940, and that lasted until the time the Museum of Art, as we know it downtown, was built, and a group of interested citizens negotiated with the city to keep the International Museum of Art in business and showing what has been in that collection for a number of years. So I want to talk a little bit about the facility. These are the major key points of the facility: the parlor, foyer, theater, classroom. There's a boardroom upstairs where we meet, and then the galleries and exhibit rooms are all functional as well. So this is the parlor. It's a beautiful parlor, hardwood floors. It'll seat 200 or 300 people. One of the things I want to point out here is the stairway. Right at the very top of that stairway, you see a little bit of color. That's a stained glass window, a huge stained glass window that was imported from Chicago, built in Chicago, imported to El Paso, and installed in this museum, what was the Turney Mansion at the time. What we really like about this is that at the top of that stair, another flight up actually, is a dressing room. We do a lot of weddings here. And so it's a really nice way for the bride to enter down that beautiful stairway to where the wedding is being held. So that's the central point. Downstairs, a lot of people don't know about this because a lot of people don't go downstairs to see what's happening down there. But this is a theater that seats 168 people. The stage space itself is 300 square feet. We're working today, just out of for a point of interest, we're working today with a theater troupe. Young lady who presented here 2 or 3 weeks ago, actually, from Cuba, and it looks like they're going to do their production here in our theater because the size is correct, they've looked at it. Jazz Vila is the man who owns this theater group. We met with him last week. We're meeting with him again this week to talk about final arrangements for that. But it looks like they're going to stage their productions here in our theater. So it's a great little facility for a lot of different things, not just stage productions. We've done awards presentations, we've done symphonic things there. It's a really nice facility for you and for your business. These are the collections that we have. The Colliker collection is probably the most famous. Mr. Colliker did a lot of work there. We've reserved one room just for the Colliker collection at the museum. We have an authentic African village, actual artifacts taken from Africa and they're rebuilt and fill a room there. We're told that some of those artifacts have not been seen elsewhere. I have a friend who travels the world, and he's been in Africa a number of times. He told me, I gave him a tour of the place a while back, and he said, you just don't find those anywhere else. So we're proud of that collection. Extensive collection of Japanese carvings, dolls of the world, Buddhas of all shapes and sizes, Chinese rubbings, Bame birds. If you're familiar with Bame, he carved these birds, and we have a tremendous collection that was given to us for the Bame birds. The furniture in the place, strewn around the place, is vintage and collectible, frankly. You'll see signs on a lot of the furniture say, please don't sit on this. We also have a room that depicts the Mexican Revolution. There's an authentic death mask of Pancho Villa in that room. He's depicted in life size with his horse in that room. And adjacent to that is a depiction of the Mexican hacienda, a reproduction of that. But let's talk about the art. All of these artists have contributed to the El Paso Museum of Art. You may recognize some of these names, maybe not. My favorites include Jan Herring. I have a number of her works myself, but Alan Bean. Alan Bean, remember that name? Astronaut. He donated one of his works of art that sits in the lobby, in the foyer of the museum, and he did that out of respect for what we're trying to do at the museum, the International Museum of Art as well. So every artist in town, though, has contributed to this museum, and especially since I've come on board, they've really stepped up for this museum because we're trying to raise money, we're trying to become more self-sustaining. We get nothing from the city, incidentally. We're not a city institution, per se. We pay the city $1 a year for a lease, but we're responsible for all practical operations of the museum, capital improvements, and so on. So that's our nut. This is a depiction of the gallery space. There are actually two galleries that look like this, and interestingly, these modules you see here in the center are on rollers, so you can configure it any way you want. But we have probably, in last discussion with our executive director, Mitzi, I think she told me that there are only 6 openings now for 2018 at the museum in these galleries. So we have really filled those galleries, and you're getting some quality shows there. This is an example of one of the events that we do every Christmas. It's Christmas and pictures with Santa for the kids, and the kids really like it. We invite representatives from different countries in El Paso to come and depict their country's Christmas themes, if you will, and we get a lot of countries step up. Specifically, we see mostly like from France, Spain, Poland. These have very significant representation in El Paso, much to my surprise until I started working with the museum. But this is one of the events that you can enjoy with your family, and includes these. The Alliance Francaise is very active with us. They like to do films with us, do French films with subtitles. In fact, I'll do a sidebar here in that this month is International Month. We're doing a film. If you're not aware of this, every Saturday afternoon at 2:00, the museum shows a film free in that theater you just saw a picture of. 1 month we may do just children's films. This month it's international films. We're doing a French film, a Spanish film, a Mexican film, and a Polish film in successive Saturdays in October. So if you're into that kind of thing, foreign films, come to see us free on Saturday afternoons during October. We've also hosted the National Association of Equestrian Artists, an exhibit that they did. This was a one-time only. I've gotten to know the president of this association. I'm originally from Maine. She lives in Maine. She runs this association. And they have never done this anywhere else but in our museum. They brought works from nationally from their association members to show at our museum. So we're very proud of that. We had an artist from Wales who wanted to bring her collection to show at our museum, and so we did that for a month in our galleries. We have Polish art on display, and we did a month of Polish art. And incidentally, this Christina Robbins, who is Polish, brought in friends from around the country to do a traditional Polish polonaise, which is a dance theme kind of thing that they performed in that parlor that I just showed you. So we cleared that and let them do their polonaise. And then we have artists from all over El Paso doing it. A couple of events that are not on here that I want to make you aware of, and important to the museum and to the community, we think, is that each year we co-sponsor with the Sun Bowl Association an exhibit of art done by local artists. It's a juried exhibit, and it's judged with a monetary reward for the artists. And with the Sun Bowl Association, we present these artists before the Sun Bowl. Before the Sun Bowl festivities at the end of the year. We also, as you may know, host the start of the Sun Bowl parade every year. That's where that parade starts, and so that creates quite a gathering at our museum. We're happy to do that. And then the other thing is we just completed this, and that is an international festival of arts. And we had tremendous participation this year, and that we're very proud that we've restarted the International Festival for Art. It goes along with our theme as well, obviously. And another thing that's happening here, it's going to be October 20th or 21st. Now, don't quote me on that, but the museum of the Murder at the Museum. 2 years ago, we started this, and it was a huge hit day one. This sells out on the first day that we make the tickets available. If you have not been to this, it's fantastic. Last year, I was involved a little bit in the planning, although Mitzi, our director, just does a great job of this. But last year, what they do is you recruit. You can go and sign up, and they recruit you to play a part in this murder mystery kind of thing. Last year, my son volunteered to be the victim, and so he said that he spent 2 hours laying on the floor face down kind of thing. So, but it's that kind of thing. We're trying to do fun things like that, which will bring people into the museum and create some traffic. So that's the El Paso International Museum of Art. We're very proud of what we're doing, and we hope that you have some questions I can respond to. Anybody? The Murder at the Museum? No. But I don't ask me that. I'm not sure. Yeah, no, it's a lot of fun. But and I can get numbers for you on the dates and availabilities because it's a blast. I went the first year and I couldn't believe it. You could hardly move in there, and we have to sell out because it'll only hold so many people, and we can't take more people than the fire department will allow, kind of thing. I'm sorry. The museum, I don't know what the capacity of the parlor probably is 300. If the foyer will seat another, another 80, I guess. That's in the beginning. I didn't have a picture of that, but it's a beautiful foyer with marble floors. Have you been there? Yeah, glass and so on. And I think another seating for another 80 people in there. And then the galleries. I mean, you can put a lot of people in there, but for an event like that, where you have to contain it, it doesn't work for people to be roaming around. Others, sir, Tom.
For your staff that runs the museum, do you have like a paid staff and volunteers?
Yeah, we have a small staff of actually 6. Okay. 2 of whom are full-time, 4 are part-time, and then the rest of the stuff is volunteers. We have docents who volunteer to do tours, people like me who volunteer for the board of directors and so on, and then in our paid staff just work their tails off to make this happen. We're very fortunate for when we found Mitzi Curarte, who is the executive director. Mitzi happens to be an artist, and she understands how to get things done at this facility. So since she came on board, the activity level has really, really risen, and we're very pleased with that. More and more people are figuring out. That's why I ask how many people have been to this museum, because too often I hear, I haven't been there in 20, it's been 20 years since I was there. And I don't understand that. I mean, it's in the middle of the Montana Historic District. It has so much history. As you roam through this place, just wander through there. If you go, don't just stay on the second floor and look at the galleries. You got to wander through the whole thing to see all the other features of this museum, and really enjoy this treasure. Rusty?
How different is this from the mansion? How much has it changed from when it was a mansion?
Well, the original mansion was just was basically what you see here. Behind these trees on each side are wings that were built back in, like I want to say, the 1971. And they were built because, that's a great question. We're dealing with that right now, as a matter of fact. We're working on getting historic designation for the museum. It's really long overdue, and we have some people in the community now who have stepped up and said, we can do that for you, get official designations at the local, state, and national levels for the museum. And of course that helps with grant money and support from historic designation organizations, if you will. But back to Rusty's question, what they did in 1971 was they built the two wings, one on each side of the original Turney Mansion. And what that did was it allowed for the addition of the housing of the Kress collection. The Kress collection is probably the most important art collection in the city of El Paso. I think it is. Now, when the new museum was built, the Kress collection went with that museum to downtown. You can see that in the downtown, the museum down here across, well, just a ways from here. So the significance of that is that to get historic designation as a historic landmark kind of thing, you have to explain why that change was made, why that addition was made, why it was upgraded, and we have that explanation. What we found is that because it was built specifically to house such an important collection, that negates, that supports what we're trying to do in terms of the designation. It allows you to get that designation, even though you've changed the real structure of the historic Turney Mansion. Esther. No, it's not. We're closed on Mondays and Tuesdays. We're open Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And the hours are on our Facebook page and on our website. 11 to 5 on the weekdays, and then on the weekends from 1 to 5. That excludes any special events. If you want to do a special event or if we have something else scheduled, then we'll announce that and it'll be available. Like the Sun Carnival thing, we do that in the evenings, and we get a big crowd for that, and that's until 9 o'clock at night. Kind of. We host a lot of like cocktail receptions and exhibit opening receptions, and so on that come after hours as well. Sir.
What do you have in display or viewing, either in the museum or online, about some of the history of what the museum has that's in video format or interactive stuff?
We don't have in any interactive or video format. We have, the pictures you've seen here, just a few of them that I pulled off the website to depict what goes on at the museum, what we have in terms of the collection. We don't have anything online that can do video.
In terms of your archives or what you have for viewing about some of the documentaries and other stuff that have been done here in El Paso over the last 100 years relative to your stuff, do you have anything of that people can also learn?
No. Not that I know of. Now, there may be something in archives. And in fact, to your question, at least partially to your question, we have an intern from UTEP working on archiving, or inventorying, I guess more is a better term, all of the art that we have at the museum. Because for years that wasn't done. There's been a lot of acquisition over the years. And when I came on board, one of the things I discovered was that we didn't have an accounting of all that stuff. And if you consider the Colliker collection, for example, and then all of the artifacts that we have, and that needs to happen. So we're working diligently on building that. To your point, probably a good idea for us to start looking at doing some kind of video depiction.
Because, for instance, what they did with the innovative thing that they did with the digital wall that's on the county museum, and it chronicles a lot of stuff, and it has a really, if you guys have never seen it or played with it, go with it, because it has a very interesting feature where you can actually If something is incorrect in there, you can correct it. You can offer that, but you also can offer your own experiences. It's very, very, it's a very, very unique thing that I saw, and I've never seen that in all the museums I've been in here in the U.S. I've never seen something like that, and that's one thing that's very, very unique.
What you're talking about is the DigiWall. It's not far from here, and the fact, if you don't, everybody know what that is, the DigiWall? And the reason you haven't seen it elsewhere is because there are only 2 in the world, and the other one is in London. Okay, so it's London and El Paso have these DigiWalls. And in fact, this week we're hosting a group of people from the International Museum of Art is going to host a tour of a group of people from New Zealand, and one of their stops is going to be the DigiWall as well. They're coming here to visit. It's a Rotary kind of thing, and so we're excited about showing them that DigiWall as well. David.
I think that's a great idea, David. If you have any films, because you have the theater.
Yeah.
So that'd be great too, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's right.
There are, from what I've seen, even though I'm still new to El Paso, the incredible rich history that this city has on filming alone, from the different genres and stuff that I have seen. That's why I was wondering if you've had, or if anybody knows if there's an archive of those things in the art museums, or maybe that people can access.
I don't know. I'm probably not the right guy to ask. Before I agreed to volunteer here at this museum, I was art unconscious. I didn't know anything about art. Thankfully that it's enriched me, I think, understanding what goes on here and interfacing with artists who've been tremendously. If you're not familiar with the art community in this town, in this area, you're missing out, because there are some tremendously talented artists in this area, and every one of them has stepped up and said, we want to help this museum to not only survive but thrive. And the issue obviously is that everybody thinks, well, the Museum of Art downtown, that's our museum. No, I mean, there's a lot going on around, and the International Museum of Art is totally different. What artists tell us is that it's one thing to have your work in an art gallery. It's another to have it in a museum. There's a huge difference in the minds of these artists, and we are a museum, not just an art gallery. Any other questions? Others?
Okay, always the last question, what can we as a community do to help the International Museum of Art?
Well, I always anticipate this answer, and I'll give the stock answer, I suppose, but it's talk it up. I'm a big believer in relationship selling, my marketing background. I'm a believer in networking, and I think that everybody in this room tells 2 or 3 people about the International Museum of Art. It benefits that International Museum of Art, and that's good for us. So talk it up, but go and visit the museum. And it's free. You can leave a donation. There's boxes there where you can slip $1 in, but it's free. Other than that, those films on Saturday afternoon, free. I will sell you a box of popcorn or a soda, but I mean, it's a tremendous asset to this community, and we're trying to make it even better for everybody. So talk it up. I guess that's the biggest thing that we could ask for, and that would be a tremendous help to us.
Do you have, parking?
There is parking in the area. It's curbside parking, but we do have some spaces on the sides of the street and in back of the museum. So it's ample parking. I've never had a complaint about parking in the area. So.
What time is that on Saturday?
2:00. Every Saturday at 2:00. And the host of that, you may know, Jay Duncan hosts this. Okay, so from his collection, he selects these films and actually presents those films every Saturday afternoon. If you don't know Jay Duncan, he has tremendous film knowledge. He'll talk about the film, the history of it, the significance of it, and so on. And so it's a great facility. My grandkids go and they love it when the months of kids films and so on. And again, this month I think this Saturday it's going to be a Spanish film. We've done the Polish and the French and Polish. I think the Spanish this Saturday. So again, reflecting again. I really like it because it reflects the makeup of the population here in El Paso. I had no clue that there's so many Polish people in El Paso, Polish descent. My father-in-law's Polish descent. I'm thinking, well, he's just one of 2 or 3. No, it's a huge Polish population here. So, yeah, that's a great venue to do that. Great. Hi. Thank you again. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Doc. You get your mug, and we have to take a picture.
All right.
Gotta have the picture.
Do I have to smile?
That's up to you. Okay, now we have time for some community announcements. First, a recognition. Any alumni presenters here? Has anybody here has presented in the past? Please raise your hands. I see a couple of you. Awesome, thank you. And now Michelle's going to come up and give some community announcements, including give you all an opportunity to make some.
Okay, see this big stack, so we're going to be here for a little while. So just bear with me. First of all, does anyone have any announcements to make? Okay.
Good morning. Jocelyn Thornton with Legal and ID Identity Theft Shield. We just had the largest data breach in history. Okay, I'm sure most of you know about Equifax. I want to encourage everyone to go to that special site to find out if your name is on there. Some people have gotten letters already, some have not. Be proactive, go to the site, see if you're on there, because it's going to take a while to notify everyone. If I can be any help to anyone, or if you need that site, give me a call. I'll be happy to help you in any way. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. So, 1-1 Events is hosting a wine tasting today at 6 p.m. They also have Let Booze Be Your Muse art and wine class on the 27th, and on the 30th, hashtag lunch bag, which they prepare sack lunches for the homeless. Breakfast with Friends on Thursdays at Carnitas by the Fountains. Purchasing Power Lunch tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. at the Country Inn and Suites El Paso. AIN workshop on corporate business structure basics tomorrow between 3 and 4 p.m. in Las Cruces at Arrowhead Center at NMSU. Social media marketing, Friday, September 22nd. It's a 4-part series, so the first part is tomorrow from 8:30, or Friday from 8:30 to noon. ISO has a transition seminar, September 22nd, where at the Business Building Room at UTEP, room number 319. All right, there's 6 free workshops around the region that are scheduled to walk you through the State Hub certification process. I'm just going to give the one for Thursday. Well, this is next Thursday on the 28th at the El Paso Hispanic Chamber from 8 a.m. to 10. They go all the way through October and November, so just refer back to this, or we'll keep you posted each week. September Investor Meetup, September 28th at La Terraza, a restaurant? La Terraza? Okay. We Mean Business, a conference for aspiring and successful female entrepreneurs, September 29th from 10 a.m. to 3:30. Oh, that's going to be in Las Cruces as well at the New Mexico Farm and Ranch Heritage Museum. Intelligent Office and Wells Fargo invites you to discover financial services for your business, October 5th at 7:30. And that is at the Intelligent Office Complex on Rincon. Okay, Downtown El Paso Insider. Sign up for the weekly newsletter to find out news, events, and networking at downtownelpaso.com. And, okay, that's it. Nancy has an announcement, so I'll give it to her.
Okay, so who's tired of hearing all of those reading of lists every time and then coming up and asking us afterwards, does anyone have a master list of those? Okay, so we're going to start creating a master list of events in El Paso, Las Cruces and Ciudad Juarez through Startup Digest. Is anyone here registered on Startup Digest already? Startup Digest is a project of Techstars, which is an accelerator that started in Boulder. Anyway, they have lists by community for over 340 communities around the world. And you have to go to startupdigest.com, log in or sign up to register, and you can sign up for the lists you want. I personally follow San Diego and Austin and Albuquerque, and then they also have reading lists. So if you're into venture capital, you can have a reading list on venture capital. Some of them come weekly, some of them come monthly. It'll tell you how often they come when you sign up. If I use Startup Digest because we don't have one in El Paso yet, the one in El Paso will go out the 1st of October. I use Startup Digest if I'm going to travel to find out what's happening in Austin that week, or to find out what's happening in Kansas City. So what happens is you go and you sign up for the reading list you want. Under the search button, you put the name of what you're signed up for, and you can see that's my stuff right there. And then you can go in, and if you have an event that you're working on, like Esther, if you have a training for People Fund coming up, you can put it in under the El Paso. It'll give you a place for the community, the name of the event, a link to the registration site, all of that. You can enter your own events. So what's going to happen in El Paso is that, to begin with, I'll be entering the events, or anybody else who wants to can go enter an event. And then once a month, because we're just starting it in October, it will come out to anyone who signs up and selects El Paso. We can't register you to be part of it. So if you signed in at 1 Million Cups, that doesn't make you a Startup Digest member. You have to sign up yourself if you want a consolidated list of everything that's going to go on in the community that week. And so this is Austin's calendar. Then once you're in, you can go look at calendars for all the communities. So this is what's happening in Austin for this month. All right? And then you can click on each of those links and see what's going on in more detail. You'll also, when you sign up, get either the weekly or the monthly email with this information in a much more usable format. So here's Austin. Austin starts with a list of top things that are happening that week. And then Austin's been doing this for a long time, so they have a list of job openings with a link to the site where the job opening is. They also have a link of people looking for space. So if you are a broker and you've got retail space or commercial or warehouse space, they list it on here. So if you're a startup looking for space, you can go here and find out what space is there and at least whatever's listed in the parameters. And then down below they have 30, 40, 50 events that are going on that week. And this all comes in an email to you on Monday morning of that week. So you can plan your week. You can see what's going on in the community. So we're going to start this starting October 1st. So if you have an event, you have to get it in by the 27th of, this is September. Yeah, the 27th of September in order to be in the October newsletter. If people start signing up and are interested in using, this is our calendar right now, okay? This is the El Paso calendar, all right? It's not going to look like that next month. Let's fill it, because there are an amazing lot of things going on in this community. Every day you can do something related to business or startups if you know what's going on and you know where to go. And so please sign up. Sign up to Startup Digest, select El Paso, any other cities or reading list you're interested in. And this can be a central forum for, not a forum, just a list for all this stuff that we read off every week. We're still going to read it off, by the way. But, you know, if you've got something going on, put it up here, and that way it'll go out in this case, first of the month to everyone. And if there's a demand for it, we'll try doing it every 2 weeks. And then if we can get it, we'll do it every week. All right? Questions?
Is there a fee for posting?
No, it's all free. Free to post. It's curated, though. It's a curated website. So It has to be things related to business, startup, not necessarily startups, but business. So if all these events would pertain, it has to be that kind of an event. So it is curated. It's curated at the local level, and it's curated at the Techstars level also. Okay? So there's 2 levels of curation, if that's really a word. Anybody else? Any questions? Okay. I'm going to turn it over to Ernesto to talk about 1 Million Cups, but please sign up.
Yeah, thank you, Nancy. That Startup Digest is a really cool thing. Again, it's been going on in other communities for years. I've been following other communities for years, so it's a good thing that we're bringing that to El Paso. That's great. We need to have a little bit of a giveaway, and whoever wins has a choice of a notebook here from Access to Brain-Based Leadership, a past presenter, or 2 T-shirts. Unfortunately, both the T-shirts are small, so if you have kids or maybe you actually qualify to wear those T-shirts, that'd be fine. So I certainly don't, just barely. So the first one is Bridge Gap Consulting. You want to come up and choose your... Although you're a future presenter, so we should maybe exclude you. I'm not sure. Have you take your pick. You want the notebook? Great. And the next one here... Tina Dwyer Photography. You've won before, haven't you? Oh, I thought you had. You've been here. So come up here. Maybe a friend of yours that you were here with won. So there are 2 T-shirts.
I will be.
Everybody who's here who is not already presented should be a future presenter. Yes. Okay, great. So we had a last-minute change, a schedule of presenter. So for a second presenter, so we thought we would have a small community roundtable to give you all a chance to give feedback. So first, I do want to give a little bit of context of 1 Million Cups, right? Again, I just came back from the organizing summit, so I was really pumped up. The 1 Million Cups Nation, by being here, you are part of a really big movement. There's over 3,500 weekly attendees, and that's a little bit out of date. 700 volunteer organizers. Next, Ryan. Ryan, can you scroll down? Total attendees since 2015, 23,000 plus. That's today. So far, 2016, 21,000, and 2015, 9,000. That's the whole reason for the 1 Million Cups. Eventually, there will have been 1 million cups of coffee around the U.S. drank and discussing entrepreneurship in these communities. Next, Ryan, please. Again, that's just showing the growth. More than 8,000 entrepreneurs have already shared their stories and ideas at 1 Million Cups since its inception. Okay, next, Ryan, please. And I think it's the last one before we get to our discussion. So it's been around 5 years. We're just getting started and growing. Like I said, they're already in 140 communities. They're trying to get to 500 communities within the next 18 months. That's quite aggressive. But here's the discussion that we wanted to have. What do you all think of how we've been utilizing 1 Million Cups here in El Paso? The idea, of course, is to build the entrepreneurial, the innovation ecosystem to serve all of you. So with that, does anybody have a comment, a question? What would you like to see us, mainly 1 Million Cups, but even maybe as the hub, suggestions how we can better serve the entrepreneurial community and what we're trying to do here as part of the 1 Million Cups movement? Anybody want to start off, Dr. Deemer? I'll try to play Oprah and run around with the microphone, but I don't know if we'll do it all that well.
Well, just a comment about the regularity of these. I know it's tough to keep these going every week and to find speakers, but it's just critical that it's on everybody's calendar. It's on mine every Wednesday. And so I applaud the regularity of it and encourage the hub to continue on a weekly basis as possible.
Great, thank you. Yes, one of the things that, again, we do want to give an opportunity for the community to drive this discussion, rather than just us. But if we have time at the end, one of the things that we wanted to talk about was how you all feel about maybe having an afternoon presentation or an afternoon event, not always in the morning. It could be in addition to, or the last one of the month could be in the afternoon, because, for instance, some of the communities that I was talking to in Kansas City were saying, hey, we have one every quarter or some frequency in the afternoon because we know students can't make it. There's a lot of people that work that can't make it, so it gives an opportunity. So that's one thing that we can get to. But any other comments, questions, thoughts right now?
I would just say to keep the Facebook event updated because I know a lot of my friends utilize that tool to see what's going on around the community during the week. So I would say that would be beneficial to keep it updated.
Okay, great. Yes, thank you. That's one thing that I've even told Nancy. Usually I'm like negative tech. I like have this negative force aura and I cancel out tech. But I volunteer that I even will help doing that because I do agree we need to do a little bit more of that. Any other thoughts or questions or comments? What else can we do to serve you better as the entrepreneurial innovation community? Okay, what do you guys think about having an afternoon event, whether it would be once a month, once a quarter? Ken, in the back, I'm not going to try to get you the microphone, but speak loud and clear.
I think that would be a good thing. There's a lot of different things, especially the ways that you could do it. And for some reason, San Jacinto Plaza is coming to my mind because a lot of the stuff that they have, when they have all these community events on there, maybe it might be something also to see about having a little table or something set up there, letting other people know about it, or maybe having an event like this there.
So you're suggesting literally hosting one at San Jacinto Plaza?
Yeah, or some of the other outside venues. It's a great. It's nice to see the downtown is alive, and using something like San Jacinto Plaza, I think, could get the word out really fast.
Well, I think that's a really interesting idea. I love it. I would love to have more things outside.
And also because if you have need of the internet while you're using it, they have the city free Wi-Fi out there.
Again, I think that's a very interesting idea. I don't know how the tech would work out because we do the presentation and we record it because we remember every presentation that we do is uploaded to the 1 Million Cups channels, okay? And you can actually go to all these different 140 communities and view you could literally spend the rest of your life just watching 1 Million Cups presentations. But the interesting thing is you could choose a community. Of course, you could do all of our El Pasos. You can even do a search by name, or like, let's say I want to see what's happening in marketing in Dallas, and you could search all the presentations there. So we would have to do that, but that's an interesting idea. We have a question in the back. Yes, sir.
I just want to make sure, because he made a subtle point that I think is really good for a marketing technique, and that is putting a table out there in the plaza with some literature just for a period of time, say 2 or 3 hours, as people pass through. Or this is an opportunity to get the word out, and you get great traffic, I think, through there. So I think that was a great point. I don't think you should let it go lightly.
Give out 3 cups of coffee.
So for the live stream broadcast, the idea of the comment was to also maybe put a table out in the plaza or some other high traffic locations outside with some literature, and also do that to promote the event. I think that's very interesting. We could get some volunteers to do that. I'll be out there too. If anybody volunteers, I'll go with you, or I'll be one of the volunteers. Any other thoughts or ideas? So again, yes, sir.
I think like ID tags with our business or something. For example, I'm in the initial phase of starting a business.
Awesome.
And I would like, for example, marketing. Well, I don't know who's marketing. I would like someone for construction. Well, I don't know who's construction.
Well, okay, so the comment or suggestion was, what about us having ID tags, name tags, with our name and what we do, right? Or your company name, business, and what you do maybe. I think that's a good idea. What does everybody think of that? Yay, no? Yes? We can look into that. The other thing that we can do, I know some of the chamber events, they have a thing where they go around and all the attendees, right, it's like a 15-second, and I know it's very strictly enforced because they'll gong you, but you literally have a 15-second like elevator pitch. I'm Ernesto Gamboa and I'm with whatever AGI marketing, right? So maybe something like that. What do you guys think of that? Is that something that would be? Now remember, we try to keep it to an hour, so we would have to maybe trim away some, maybe like a minute less or something of on the Q&A or something, if you guys like that. Yes, sir.
Well, like a brown bag lunch at the San Jacinto, that might be interesting for...
A brown bag lunch, and Dr. Zubia is going to provide the lunch. No? No, okay. No. Well, yeah, like a BYOB, brown bag lunch in San Jacinto, that would be interesting. I really like that idea. I mean, it's a committee. We have to do it as a committee, and of course we have budget constraints, which is pretty much zero or close to zero. But yeah, that's a great idea too. A brown bag lunch outside, luncheon. Anybody else? Any other ideas? By the way, oh yes, we have one in the back.
Submit some of these on the email that we get each week. Ask for what some of the ideas other people might have that are not here.
Yes, a survey via the email. That's one of the things that I also learned. And by the way, I am sharing all these ideas, and we're working through them with our committee. Some of the communities are being very active and creative with their email lists. I don't think I mentioned that here. For instance, Charleston sends out a monthly email. Actually, first they query the 1 Million Cups alumni presenters and say, give us an update. Have you raised money? Have you hired somebody? Have you introduced a new product? And you have 24 hours to get back to us. And when we get that back, we then send it out to the larger Charleston tech community. So it's a way to promote yourself and what's happening. But there are communities also doing surveys like that, Rusty. So that's a very good idea as well. We'll look at doing some of these surveys. Any other comments or thoughts? Yes, sir, in the back again.
I think also because there are a number of similar networking events, you want to keep your unique identity. So mimicking some of the other tools or techniques that the other operations use might not be in your best interest. I don't know. I mean, obviously a best practice is a best practice, but maybe if you have other meetings that you can canvas, other Million Cup meetings that you can get best practices from, they might have some great ideas. And of course, I'm sure you do that anyway.
Yes, and we have, again, yes, great idea. We just don't want to just copy, but some of the communities, for instance, we found have gone to one speaker because they think that they can dive more into just having the one speaker. And then some communities, even with the one speaker, just break up into little working groups. So they really encourage the presenter to say, give us 1 or 2 questions or problems that you're having, and then we can break up into working groups. That might be a logistical problem. I've been to go back to those communities and ask them how exactly they do that. But yeah, they have little working groups, and then they come back and say, hey, these are the ideas or suggestions we came up with. So that's something that we could potentially look at in the future. Yes, sir.
I'm learning some more things about Google. I don't know how many of you use the app Classroom.
Has anybody heard of the Google Classroom app? I haven't.
It's it might be something to look at in terms of what we can use from Google and the other free app services for presenting some things that are interactive for those who can't be here or can't be at some of the events. I don't know.
Like broadcasting live, right?
Yeah.
That's a meeting on the internet.
So Google Classroom, I'll definitely look into that, and I'll encourage our community to look into that as well. That sounds very interesting as well. Any other thoughts? Any other thoughts? So again, what I'm getting is you guys would be open to doing like an afternoon event, maybe once a quarter, to get people that cannot come in the mornings. Yes, that would be interesting. What about rotate? I know we had taken this kind of poll in the past about possibly rotating locations, like maybe an east side or a west side. But let me caution you, we polled them, and I thought that initial poll had an issue because this is a self-selected group. You guys are here because you don't mind coming downtown. I know of a lot of people that you tell them, I'm downtown, and they roll their eyes. East side and west side, northeast, they won't come downtown. So maybe what you guys can do is ask friends of yours that maybe you've talked to 1 Million Cups about that haven't come, saying, is it coming downtown is an issue, right? Because as it is, it's the commute. In the morning, it's busy. Parking can at times be an issue. We've had a little bit of construction downtown, so that's sometimes an issue. So anyway, do please be canvassing that. Would it be beneficial? Because I also learned that there are some communities that rotate their locations to try to get better attendance. So that could be a possibility. So Grant, are you guys getting something out of 1 Million Cups? Hopefully you are. Yes? Okay. Few final announcements. We're very close to 9 o'clock. Thank you all for coming. Please remember to come back, bring your friends, tell people about us, check in, follow us, and help us build the 1 Million Cups community, help us build the entrepreneurial community in El Paso. Thank you, and we'll see you next week.